Alright everyone, welcome back to another TA episode on Bitcoin. In today's episode, Bitcoin FOMC Fractal. I'm going to be talking about an interesting fractal that I see panning out from the last FOMC meeting, which is exactly panning out once again today. In my opinion, we are currently witnessing a bull trap. I did talk about this on my Twitter, so I just wanted to make a quick update with what I see, what to expect next. So let's jump right into this now. This is going to be my only update for the day. If you do want to know why this is going to be my only update, if you do want to keep up with my updates when I'm not posting on YouTube, then be sure to stick around to the latter half of this video, as I'll just be doing a quick disclaimer before we wrap up the video. But nonetheless, I'm going to do it towards the end because I imagine most people want to see the TA rather than the disclaimer. So with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Now, if we look back at what happened at the previous FOMC meeting, this was over on the 4th of May. We increased the interest rates by 50 basis points and we subsequently massively bounded to the downside. We had almost a 45% drop up until yesterday, where we had a bounce in the markets. Now, tons of people getting out of bed from this move. I actually tweeted over on Twitter, this was 13 hours ago, I said this is one of the clearest bull traps I've seen in a while. Don't get caught with your pants down. And I also shared this image of this fractal, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, if we look at what happened in the last FOMC fractal, we had bad news. Obviously, raising the interest rates is not bullish for the market whatsoever. You can see price went up after the news because we basically priced in the interest rate increase, but what you can't price in is the Fed's hawkish behavior. And at this moment in time, the Fed are feeling very hawkish about inflation, meaning that month after month over month, they're very likely to keep on increasing the interest rates. And until the interest rates start to subside, until the Fed backpedals, which has been basically the motto of my channel for the past 2 months now, until the Fed backpedals, the bottom is not in. I've been saying this day after day after day, week after week after week. So what happened yesterday? Because like I said, a lot of people got out of bed for this bounce. We had the FOMC results. We increased by 75 basis points, which was basically exactly what we predicted over here in the FOMC update. And we pumped into the price just like we did before. Now, this is when I said, you know, this is a super obvious bear trap. I wasn't active on my YouTube yesterday because I was busy. I talked about that on my community tab. But nonetheless, we pumped into the basis point increase. I told you over on Twitter, this is a bull trap. Do not get caught with your pants down. And you can already see that we are starting to massively landslide to the downside. You know, this bounce to this low high was what people were getting out of bed for. And now we're already pushing back down to the downside. Now, in my opinion, we probably should expect lower price targets. I don't want to run through all of my price targets for this video because my macro price targets are unchanged from yesterday's video. Now, if you do want my full thoughts of everything that's going on in the markets, if you want a macro update over on my perspective on the altcoin market, be sure to check out the total cryptocurrency market blues. This is going to be relevant to Solana, Ethereum, move to earns, you know, every single altcoin that you could possibly want. It's going to be generalized in that video. Now, I am going to be jumping back into singular altcoin videos tomorrow, and I'll explain why I'm not doing that today. But nonetheless, if you do want my altcoin update, then be sure to check out this video. If you do want my thoughts of what was going to happen after the FOMC meeting, which was exactly what we predicted right here, then go check out what to expect from the FOMC meeting. And if you want my macro price targets on Bitcoin, which are once again completely unchanged, it is this video. Bitcoin last 6 hours, I talked about 3 very important charts and what to expect next over in the price action. Now, I'm not going to run through why I think these prices are coming to fruition because I would just be regurgitating this video. However, my macro price targets in order from most conservative to most bearish are 18,500, 16,500, and 14,000, which I do not believe 14,000 is coming into fruition. But like I said, I'm not going to run through all of these charts talking about every price target because I would simply be regurgitating yesterday's video, and that's not what I want to do. So like I said, this is the exact fractal that we're seeing playing out right now. We pumped into the FOMC. We are dumping. One thing I would like to say is if we zoom out on the Elliott waves, I talked about this before, but you know, we already have had our 5-wave impulse from this bull run, so we are obviously moving into a bearish phase right now, bear market, whatever you want to call it. We've had our A, B, and we're currently in the C, which, if you know Elliott wave, is the last wave to the downside. Now, there are 3 bearish impulses in the 5-wave back to the downside when you're having your A bearish impulse and your C bearish impulse. So you can see we've had our 1 bearish impulse, correctory phase, 3 bearish impulse, correctory phase, and right now I do very much believe that we are getting very close to the bottom. I do think this is the last leg to the downside. Does this mean that we can't have one last absolutely brutal capitulation? No, it doesn't, because that is actually what I'm predicting. I've been talking about this for a while. I do think we're getting ready for that one last capitulation to the downside before we do start to reverse. Now, that's basically what I wanted to talk about from the fractal. It's really not too complicated. You can see we pumped into the bad news, we broke down, pumped into the bad news and broke down. In my opinion, the reason why we pumped into the basis point increase is because the bearish news of the basis point increase was basically already priced into the market. If you study basic economics, that's such a hard word to say for me, I don't know why. If you study that, then you'll understand it was very black and white how we were able to predict the 75 basis point increase. You know, inflation was running rampant, CPI was up 8.6%. It was very obvious we were going to see that 75 basis point increase, and that's why it was basically priced into the market. However, what is not priced into the market, which is what I believe we are about to currently price into the market, is the Fed's hawkish perspective on the markets. Now, because the Feds are extremely hawkish right now, meaning that they are committed to raising interest rates meeting after meeting after meeting, this is what we're pricing in. So we were expecting that interest rate increase that was priced in, but now we are, in my opinion, probably going to start pricing in the next FOMC meeting, which, you know, it's only been a day or so, and we're already getting some more inflation numbers from Europe, where inflation is still running rampant. So, you know, obviously at this moment in time, it's been 1 day since the last FOMC meeting. We really can't predict what is going to be happening in the next FOMC meeting. Just like back here, you know, it would have been impossible. Well, you know, it was kind of obvious, but it would have been hard to predict what was happening today or yesterday of the FOMC. It was obvious to predict what was going on after the CPI numbers came out somewhere around about here. So, you know, once again, this is something else I said on Twitter. Keep one eye on the inflation numbers. Keep your other eye on the Fed until the Fed starts backpedaling, and the Fed is not going to do that until inflation starts going down. Then do not expect the bottom to be in. So that's all I've got for Bitcoin. Like I said, you know my price targets, you know my macro price targets. This video here was my macro altcoin update. This was what to expect from the FOMC meeting. This is exactly planning out. We predicted 75 basis points. We got 75 basis points. And here is the video where I run through all of my macro charts. Over on BTC, I would also like to show you the Bitcoin dominance is still in extreme strength. Yes, it has had a correction for the past couple of days. You know, it's had many corrections while it's been on this rampage. To the upside, you can see this one was even more brutal than what we just saw now. This was just a quick capitulation. Within these previous capitulations from our fib, from our low to the high, we came right back down into this orange box, which constitutes the most important range of Fibonacci's, from the 0.5 Fibonacci to the 786, and obviously encompassing the golden pocket, the 618 fib between them. So I really don't see the Bitcoin dominance going any lower than, once again, 42.98%. And even then, I would be very surprised if we didn't do something like this, or this, rather than coming all the way down to these lower price targets, not price targets, well, because this is basically an index. So percentage targets down here to 43%. However, like I said, Bitcoin dominance still on a massive rampage. If we do come over to the altcoin market cap, once again, I've been saying this for months now, it is not the time to DCA altcoins. They are getting worse and worse and worse. If you zoom back into previous market structures, you just do not hold the 786 Fibonacci's in bear markets. Like you can see from the last bull run, we capitulated below the 786, had one last macro capitulation for the altcoins before the bottom is in. And, you know, once again, if you're a seasoned veteran to my channel, you know that no matter what altcoin we've been covering, we've been very patient. I've been sitting on the sidelines for months now, and this is really starting to pay off while these altcoins are massively capitulating. Bear in mind, if you think what we've seen so far is bad. The Bitcoin dominance has not even really started its macro move yet. The altcoin market is still above the 786 once this breaks, and if it breaks below 396 billion, which in my opinion I do believe it will, this would represent another 16% drop, or 77 billion of the altcoin market cap wiped out before the next massive leg to the downside. Then what you can expect is the Bitcoin dominance to start going on a massive run, your altcoins to get wrecked. And once again, I've been very busy the past couple of days, so I haven't had time to update all the altcoins. I know a ton of people in the Discord are asking me, you know, can you update Tron, HBAR, Waves, JASMY, ELON, Doge, what are some others? FitFi, GMT, GST, Ape. The fact of the matter is, you know, yes, we've had a lot of dead cat bounces on these charts. Like, for example, if we look at what's going on Green Satoshi token, we did have, you know, somewhat of an okay bounce. I think FitFi was having a pretty nice bounce. Actually, yeah, FitFi had a pretty nice bounce, but the fact of the matter is this is still a lower high. You know, the market structure is completely unchanged. I do not have any different perspectives over on the altcoin market cap. If I did, then I would be updating you, but you know my perspective. I think Bitcoin's going down to lower levels. Once Bitcoin, and in my opinion it will, once Bitcoin breaks below the previous all-time high at 19,800 to 20,000, you can expect that last capitulation for Bitcoin. And if you have been watching my videos, then you will know that Bitcoin bottoms before altcoins. Bitcoin always does something like this, where it has its low, it comes up for a massive bounce. Altcoins outperform Bitcoin for a couple of weeks to a month or so, and then Bitcoin comes down and it makes a higher low. And while Bitcoin's making that higher low, what the altcoins actually do is something like this. You know, they have their bounce and then they come down for a lower low, and they normally capitulate sideways for a prolonged period in time. Once again, if you're a seasoned veteran to my channel, then you would have been very privy of that information anyway. However, I will just show you one quick example. If we hop over to Ethereum, and this is once again hammering in the fact that, you know, people think now is the only time you can buy altcoins. People think when the Bitcoin bottom is in, then that is it. You will never be able to buy altcoins that cheaply. Look back at the previous cycles. December 2010 was the previous Bitcoin bottom. Bitcoin had its bounce, came down, made a higher low, and as you can see, these altcoin BTC pairs, so we're looking at how Ethereum performed against Bitcoin. Even after Bitcoin bottomed, Ethereum came down another 40% against Bitcoin. This even happened with cryptos like ADA, which were massive outperformers. You can see some of these went sideways against their Bitcoin pairs after the Bitcoin bottom for 784 days. Now, am I saying it's going to play out exactly as it did previously? Absolutely not. We've got a completely different geopolitical geist of things going on in the economy. I do think because, for example, I was here in 2018 and there are so many more bearish signals going on in the crypto market right now than what was going on back then. You know, we didn't have the Luna Ponzi schemes getting rug pulled. We didn't have, you know, well, we did have, you know, the SEC going after a bunch of securities, but now they're going after XRP, which in my opinion is not a security, even though I don't like it. But they are going after Binance, which is a security. I mean, you know, once again, if you've researched the security laws, if you've researched the SEC case versus Howey Co, and if you understand the Howey test, then you should be very knowledgeable on what a security is. It's very black and white. If your cryptocurrencies had an initial coin offering, then your cryptocurrency is most likely a security, and that is what Binance, Ethereum, and pretty much all of these cryptocurrencies are. You know, Solana, I haven't researched, I was about to say crypto.com, but I don't know if they've got an initial coin offering. But once again, let's wrap up the video at this point. You know my macro price targets, I said them at the start of this video. I think Bitcoin is either heading down to 18,500, most conservative 16,500. This is where I think Bitcoin's actually going to bottom, and 14,000. Once again, if you do want my opinion on why all of these charts, or if you want my opinion on where these numbers specifically come from, then check out this video. Now, wrapping up the video, like I said, this is going to be my only video of the day. I am going to be busy today. I'm going to be revamping my setup for my recording studio. What I'm going to be doing is unplugging my PC, and I've got really neat cable management, so probably the most amount of time I'm going to spend is unplugging all the cables and then replugging them back in at some point in time. I've got to move my desk, my monitor, my keyboard, my mouse, my computer, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of stuff to my setup today. It's all going to be finished tomorrow, but yeah, like I said, this is going to be my only video today. Now, if you do want to keep up with my updates on the crypto markets, then be sure to head over to my Twitter, because, you know, like I said, the Twitter gets most of my updates first on what I consider time sensitive information. Like I said, I told you last night, you know, this was almost 2 a.m. where I live, and it's now 3 p.m. So it's been about 13 hours since I posted. This was a bull trap. You know, I reconfirmed this today talking about the snapshot of the FOMC meeting. And also I am going to be posting, you know, information that I do see as relevant over on here. So for example, yesterday I said, if you go over to my community tab, you'll see that I said, you know, just a quick reminder that I'm going to be busy. Go over to my Twitter if you want the updates. And here over on my Twitter is where I do my updates when I'm away from my computer or I cannot be doing these updates. So with that being said, if you do want to follow me over on Twitter, it is here at 618_cowboy. I will be updating all of the altcoins tomorrow. So if you do want me to cover, you know, your favorite altcoin, bear in mind, I only have so much time. I have so many requests, and I physically cannot just fit every move to earn, every altcoin, every Bitcoin video, the Bitcoin dominance, the news updates. I can't fit everything into one day. I've only got so much time in one day. However, if you leave your comments down below of the altcoins that you want to watch the most, then the ones with the most likes, the ones with the most requests that I have over on my Discord are the ones that I will be covering first. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you did enjoy today's video. As I said, the last 3 videos I've made will tell you everything you need to know from what to expect next in the altcoin market. Once again, this was 1 day ago and this is already aging well. The FOMC meeting update where we predicted the 75 basis point increase, you know, this has been and gone, but if you want my thoughts on that, then go check it out. And then most importantly, my Bitcoin macro price targets. There is nothing to update other than that. I believe this fractal is going to be playing out to the teeth, and I think we're getting ready for that last leg to the downside, just like we've been predicting for the past couple of months. That's all I've got for you today. As always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Hope to see you on Discord and Twitter. Peace.